Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Divers Ready. My name's James, and on this channel, I use my years of experience and passion as a professional diving instructor to help make you a better diver. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, click the little bell icon, and you'll never miss any of our content. Now, I want to talk about full-face snorkel masks today because news out of the Aloha state of Hawaii suggests that there's a problem with these masks. The #1 cause of death in Hawaii for non-residents, i.e. tourists, is drowning. But on average, Hawaii suffers 17 snorkeling drownings per year. Last year they had 14, and 5 of them involved snorkelers using a full-face snorkel mask. I want to be clear right from the start here. There are reputable manufacturers of snorkeling equipment who produce a full-face snorkel mask who have gone to take steps to make sure that these things are safe. The main problem is with the cheap knockoff copy no brands that you can find for half the price of a brand name snorkel mask. It looks attractive because who doesn't love a deal? Half price, excellent. But there's some things you really need to know about these masks, and I bought this one for about 20 bucks. Later in this video, I'm going to be giving you 5 safety tips that if you absolutely have to buy one of these masks for like your least favorite child or an annoying niece or nephew, at least these tips may help to keep them safe. But first, let's have a look at some of the design flaws in these cheap knockoff full-face snorkel masks. To help me compare and contrast the design of this full-face snorkel mask, I've also brought with me a regular mask and snorkel, and I brought with me my full-face scuba mask, which is an OTS Guardian that I use for public safety diving and public safety diving instruction. Flaw number 1 is the seal. On a full-face snorkel mask, the seal has to cover a greater area than a regular snorkel mask because it has to seal around the entire face, hence the phrase full face. Now, reputable manufacturers, of course, use silicone, but silicone is expensive, so if you're going to buy a mask for 20 bucks, you're going to get a PVC seal like this one has. Now, the trouble with PVC is it's not as flexible as silicone, which means it doesn't form as good of a seal. And because there's such a large seal area, that means it can create a lot of failure points. One review I read for this exact mask before I purchased it said that even squinting underwater causes the mask to leak. Now you might be thinking, James, yeah, but you know, occasionally my regular mask leaks as well, so that's not such a big deal. That's fine, but when this mask leaks, you can still breathe. The whole design of this mask and what makes it so attractive to people is not having the mouthpiece in your mouth and you can breathe naturally through your nose or mouth. But the problem is, even a mask such as this one with an orinasal cup inside, a little separate compartment for your nose and mouth, cannot guarantee that water won't come into the breathing compartment. On the front here, it does actually have these 2 one-way mushroom valves. However, they look to me to be incredibly flimsy and very poorly made. So I'm not sure I would trust my ability to breathe on those 2 little valves. Now, the second fault that these masks have is the incredible amount of dead space in the mask. What do we mean by dead space? Dead space is essentially a volume of air that is not recycled with every breath. In other words, when you breathe out, you breathe a portion of the same air back into your lungs. And without any of this gear at all, we have dead spaces in our body. Everything from the lungs up, the trachea, your mouth, your nose, your sinus cavities, all of those are dead spaces. In other words, when you breathe out, you breathe back in the same gas with your next inhalation. Now, whenever you add snorkel gear, you're adding dead space, okay? This snorkel here, which I measured with water, is about 165 milliliters. So that's how much dead airspace you're adding to your sinuses and all the cavities in your upper body. A full-face scuba mask such as this one doesn't have such a problem with dead space. Although yes, there is a large chamber where your face sits, every exhalation is expelled through the exhaust diaphragm in the regulator. So like a regular scuba regulator, when you breathe out, there are bubbles, you're not breathing that gas back in again. Yes, there is some dead airspace added, of course, but you're cycling through a lot more air than you are with a cheap full-face snorkel mask. Reputable brands have come up with a system where there's a series of valves in the snorkel itself, so you can only breathe in through one portion of the tube and all exhalation goes out the other way and that air can't come back in. You're still left with the problem of the gas that is free flowing around in the mask space, but that at least does something to increase the cycling of gas through the mask. This little $20 version, no such feature, I'm afraid. It's just one solid tube. You saw me attach it earlier. So every time you breathe in and out, you're cycling a large portion of the same gas back into your lungs. Why is that a problem? So let me take you back to high school biology for a moment. Human beings, like nearly every life form on Earth, require oxygen to survive. We metabolize that oxygen to keep our systems going, and we exhale carbon dioxide as a byproduct. Now, we require a fresh supply of oxygen, so if we have a dead airspace where we're constantly breathing in the same air we just breathed out, the oxygen content is going to get depleted, which is exactly what has happened in some of these drowning incidents. The victims have been breathing in and out and snorkeling around, become drowsy and eventually lose consciousness, and those of you with fast minds will have already figured out that being being unconscious face down in the water is a bad thing. Other symptoms of hypoxia include hyperventilating. Your body feels like it's not getting enough oxygen, so you start panting, which exasperates the problem, and panic as well. And yes, for those of you that are still following in double speed, panicking while you're in the water is also a bad thing. Last but not least, the strap system on the full face mask. I read the little 2-page booklet that I got with this mask, and it said for best fit, make sure that you tighten the straps as much as possible. Now here's the trouble. If you tighten this strap as much as possible, it's very hard to get off in a hurry. A hurry, you know, like when you're panicking in the water because you feel like you're being suffocated. If you look at the full face scuba mask, all of the buckles here are quick release, and whilst you do have to have a snug fit while you're wearing it, they're all very easy to get off in a hurry. I bought this mask as a prop for this video. I'm going to return it, but not before I've done a pool test with it to see how I feel actually using this, but in the safe confines of a swimming pool. But if you absolutely have to buy one of these for someone you care about, but not really very much, I'm going to give you 5 tips now for the safe usage of a full face snorkel mask. Tip number 1, go with a name brand. One that specializes in making water sports equipment. Do not buy a cheap knockoff copy for the sakes of saving 20 bucks. If you look at the link that I bought this from, and then under where it says manufacturer, you click on the manufacturer, you can see the other things that they sell. In this case, they sell car seat covers and oil diffusers, which is not really a pedigree in water sports equipment, in my opinion. Buy from a brand who has a research and development department within their company that specializes in designing water sports equipment. Do not buy this mask. It is absolutely rubbish. The build quality is shocking, and in my opinion, it's a death trap waiting to happen for the reasons I just explained. Point number 2, never let anyone you care about snorkel on their own. This is regardless as to whether they're using a $20 full face snorkel mask or indeed a really good regular mask and snorkel setup. Even if you're watching from the shore, a face down snorkeler in the water having a great time snorkeling looks a lot like a face down snorkeler who has drowned. And I come from having had the experience of pulling a snorkeler out of the water unconscious. There was a near miss in Hawaii last year where a guy was only saved because he passed out due to hypoxia from using a full face cheapo snorkel mask, and his buddy, who was diving a regular mask and snorkel, was conscious to his problems and managed to pull him out of the water in time. Point number 3 to avoid catastrophe if snorkeling with a full face snorkel mask is never overexert yourself. Never lose your breath, never swim too hard. Don't use these things in strong currents. Relax. Obviously, if you're overexerting yourself, you're breathing heavier, which means you're burning more oxygen and creating more carbon dioxide, which means you can get to a hypoxic state faster. So never overexert yourself. Point number 4 is take regular breaks. Try doing 15 minutes in the mask and 5 minutes without it. Take the mask off, breathe fresh air, come out of the water, whatever you've got to do. They're not really designed to be used for hours on end. Better that you use it for 15 minutes and then take it off and have a 5-minute break breathing fresh air, than to snorkel face down for hours and hours and increase your risk of going hypoxic. Take regular breaks. And last but not least, point number 5 for a safe full face snorkel mask experience is don't be too proud to use a snorkel vest. That simple flotation device that goes over your head and wraps around your waist, we've all seen the airlines practice it, could save your life. If you get tired, if you get cramp, if you get caught up in a current, that thing will keep you afloat. Don't be too proud to use a flotation aid. Well, here goes nothing. So I've been swimming for about 15 minutes at a leisurely pace, at the pace I would if I was recreationally snorkeling. And I gotta say, it is getting really, really hard to breathe. I didn't really feel anything like, you know, I was gonna pass out or anything, but I did notice that I'm sweating for a start, which is, you know, not normal when you snorkel. You should be cooled off by the water. I'm definitely struggling for breath, which, you know, shouldn't be happening at that leisurely pace after only 15 minutes. There's something wrong with this mask. I'm telling you that for a fact. It's not right. I shouldn't be feeling like that after 15 minutes of light swimming, you know, and despite the fact I'm a big guy, I am in shape. I do hit the gym and I do play rugby. So aerobically, there's nothing wrong with me. And yet, you know, even as a technical diving instructor, I was struggling to use this piece of equipment. So there's definitely something wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the little bell icon, and that way you'll never miss any of our content. And let us know in the comments below, have you had any incidents with these full-face snorkel masks? Are you considering to buy one? If you only take one thing away from this video, ladies and gentlemen, it is, please, if you absolutely have to buy a full-face snorkel mask, don't cheap out on it. Don't, for the sakes of 20 bucks, go with something that could be potentially life endangering. Go with a reputable brand, look up the manufacturer, make sure that they have a pedigree in making water sports equipment. My name's James. This was your Divers Ready Mouthpiece Monday for this week. Dive safe, dive often.